Welcome to the Film Geezers podcast. Hello, welcome to the Film Geezers podcast. I'm Robbo. I'm here, as always, with Cheeto.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about some favourite subject of mine, movie plot holes.
You've been nerding out about this, haven't you?
Now, some of these you might think of being just slightly picky, because
you are, but
but I mean, plot holes sometimes ruin movies, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They can do,
and are often debated.
Like you said, some can be minute, and some can actually change your whole perspective on the movie, can't it? So
it can, yeah. So we're going to leap in, and we're going to start with Independence Day, the 1996 action adventure film directed by Roland Emmerich. So there's a couple of plot holes in this. The first is you've got Russell Cass, which is Randy Quaid's character. He's the guy who claims to have been abducted by aliens 10 years earlier. Yet at the end of the film, when the president's briefing the pilots for the final attack on the alien spacecraft, everyone still looks at him like he's out of his mind for saying he was abducted by aliens, as they're looking at the world being invaded by aliens.
Yeah.
Do you not find that a bit weird?
Quite dumb, to be fair, isn't it?
It is. Because everybody's ripping him for claiming that he's been abducted
when there's literal proof happening right in front of their eyes. Yeah,
but he does actually say that they don't look like the ones that took him.
Yeah, but still, I just think like there's a whole alien attack. No matter it's just dumb. Yeah, because like I said, the proof is right there in front of your eyes. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
so that was kind of it might not be a biggie, but it's still. Yeah, it's still a bit annoying, I guess.
It's not as bad as this one, though.
Well, the next one is that, obviously, David, played by Jeff Goldblum, they and Will Smith's character, Pilot, the recovered, because the idea is that one of these alien spacecraft crash landed in Roswell back in 1947, and they've managed to kind of reverse engineer stuff on it and get it working again. And so Will Smith's character, they pilot this alien spaceship to dock with a mother ship. And the idea is that they're going to release a computer virus. So they get up there and they manage to. So obviously the mothership must be Mac compatible, because they must have some kind of interface where they can plug a Mac computer in, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Because
it's just ridiculous.
Well, it is, yeah, because it's alien technology, and we know that pretty much nothing on the other Apple products tend to interface with or be compatible with Macs. So again, it's not a major plot hole, but it's just.
I just think it's probably whoever wrote the film. They weren't looking that too much into it, were they? And they just wrote it.
Well, it's
for the story.
It is what it is. It's an action adventure film. It's not a drama or So I
really don't think they were even thinking about the plot holes, are they? That they created. They were just, like I said, they were just writing the story how they saw fit, really. And it just happened to be some of the dumbest decisions, but still, like I said, in the bigger picture of things, it still doesn't take away, because the movie is quite. Like I said, it's like you said, it's a huge blockbuster. Like no one going to the cinema is going to be like huge cinema buffs, and they will say that's a negative against it, would they? Because it wasn't going for that. So
but it's just fun to point out.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
So we're going to move on now to Back to the Future, which is a 1985 time travel comedy, you would call it, directed by Robbo Zamekis. So there's a couple that I've added. The first one is when Marty's trying to get back home, and obviously he's come back from the future in the DeLorean, which is powered by plutonium, because that's the only thing that can generate the 1.21 gigawatts of power to send the DeLorean through time. So the idea that they come up with is that they know that it's the clock tower is going to be struck by lightning at this precise time. So what happens is Doc does all the calculations. They line up the DeLorean. Doc paints a line on the road so Marty will hit the wire and get the lightning bolt into the flux capacitor at exactly the right time. The movie even says Doc's adjusted for wind resistance, but when Marty goes to drive the car, it won't start. So the alarm clock goes off, which is his trigger to start, and the engine is stalled. So technically Marty leaves late, yet he still somehow hits the wire on time. So was Doc's math wrong, and no one said a word? No, I don't think, because his guy's built a time machine, so his math's going to be bang on in it, really. And if the car had not stalled, then Marty would have been too early, missed the lightning bolt, crashed into the movie theatre, and never gotten home.
Yeah, obviously, everyone's seen Back to the Future, and every time I've watched this film, I hadn't thought about it, but now it's kind of ruined the film for me. So thanks for that.
It's kind of a major part of the plot.
It does take away it, because now every time I'm going to rewatch it, I'm going to be thinking of that at the back of my mind now. So,
and obviously, probably one that most people have pointed out is the fact that Marty travels back in time, disrupting the future for basically cockblocks his dad, doesn't he?
Simpler words, yeah.
So he disrupts when the point in which they meet, and his mother ends up falling for him instead. So he has to repair things by getting his mother and father to get together at school prom and fall in love. He then travels back to the future again, where his father, he's now changed the future. His father's now a successful author, they've got money, he's got a brand new truck. But as Marty gets older, would his parents not begin to recognise how much he looks like Calvin Klein, the guy from the 50s who helped them hook up? And wouldn't Marty's father have a few questions like, Lorraine, how close were you with this guy?
This sort of happened in the car at the prom and that.
I know, exactly.
But compared to the first one, like I said, this I can maybe bypass that one really, because she's lived, I don't know how old she is when she's the mother, but she's lived X amount of years, and she's seen loads of faces, met loads of people, so maybe you can just forget about it. But
this is a significant person in their life who brought them together. Yeah. So you kind of think...
But obviously, in her mind, time travel would never been able to exist, so it's probably just out of the realm of possibility to her. But it kind of... It stays in the back of your mind, but not as bad as the first one. That's
another thing, is every time travel movie I've ever seen says, do not make any change, do not affect the future, and he does, because his dad's now a successful author. Him and Biff have got like a role reversal. And you kind of think, is that going to affect other things as well?
I don't know.
Anyway.
But the first one's very major now, and thank you for ruining one of my favourite movies I've made.
Okay, well, I'm going to shit on another one. Star Wars, 1977, director George Lucas. Now, there's lots of plot holes in Star Wars franchise.
It's kind of synonymous, really, isn't it?
Mainly to the narrative and timeline problems caused by the prequel films. So, here's just a few. I'm sure you've probably got some to add to this, but... one of the major ones, I think, is Obi-Wan's plan for hiding Luke from his father. Okay, so what we're going to do, we want to hide Luke from Darth Vader. So what? So
obviously, Leia goes off
to
with Senator Organa.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so what we're going to do? Yeah, let's move him back to his father's home planet. Keep using his father's surname, so we're still going to call him Skywalker. Yeah. I'm going to place him with his father's step. Brother and sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So so what if Darth decides to make like a little Christmas visit or something? Let's go look up the old family on Tatooine. So that is But supposedly Obi-Wan was using his Jedi powers to shield Luke, and to stop him being.
I can believe that. I think that's a bit more believable.
Well, this is one you raised with the Sith rule of 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. So basically, this is going into more legends as well, and only real Star Wars knows will know. But back in the day, there was a very powerful Sith called Darth Bane, and basically back in the day, the Siths, there was loads of them. You could have, it could be as many as, it's like the Jedi Order, basically. You can have unlimited Siths, and they all started vowing for power, so they started a lot of infighting stuff. So he said no, he created the Sith Ruler too. He said that at only one time is there allowed to be a master and an apprentice. But obviously in Empire, when we first see Palpatine, literally Darth Vader and Palpatine talk amongst themselves like they want to bring Luke on board with them. And I've heard a couple of people say, "Oh, but one of them was either planning to kill another one." But no, they were talking like they were going to bring him on board, and that would totally defeat the whole law around the rule cipher too. So that's just another one. Once again, most people wouldn't know about like Darth Bane and stuff, so obviously it doesn't take it away. But where it's one of the only rules with the Sith. It's kind of like, for us people who do know the legends and the extended universe and stuff, it is kind of a bit it doesn't sit quite right with us. But you can obviously look past it, I mean, it still doesn't take away anything from the film or anything from Star Wars. It's just I'd say a bit more than a minor one, But yeah, that's just one that I thought of on the spot.
And R2-D2 and C-3PO, they were staples of the Star Wars franchise. Obi-Wan in Star Wars claims that he never owned a droid, yet R2-D2 was his droid, and C-3PO was built by Anakin.
Well, I've heard. I agree with this, by the way, but I'm just saying what a couple of people said. He's like, he lied about. He obviously lied when he said that he doesn't remember R2. I was like, why? I don't get why he would lie, because he might, maybe in lying he hides his past with all that, but he's still right there with R2 anyway. So it doesn't matter. What's the point in lying in the first place? But and obviously C-3PO. Are you on about from Vader's perspective?
No, from Obi and Vader as well, but Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, because obviously 3PO is his mind wiped, doesn't he? But from Obi-Wan's perspective, looking at him, makes sense,
And Vader would have known him as well,
I mean,
he built him.
R2 was literally Vader, he built C-3PO, but R2 was literally Anakin's droid, wasn't he? It was who he went on missions with and stuff, but there was another one, and tying into that, the same scene where Obi obviously mentions that he doesn't know who R2 is. There's one where he's, I don't know if you heard it, where he's aged very fast. Because obviously Ewan McGregor was maybe 30.
I think there was 20 years between.
There was, because Luke is 21, I believe, and he's aged very, very rapidly. But I know people say it's to do with PTSD or the fact, because he's a very strong Force user, the Force ages you, doesn't it? But to be fair, these are some that you can just look past, really. Maybe. And there's a couple more, and obviously,
Stormtrooper Armor. How shit is that? Because in Return of the Jedi, Stormtrooper gets hit by a branch by an Ewok and instantly dies.
It's ridiculous.
Throws one of the Stormtroopers into a tree and he instantly dies. So and
if you think about it, they're the Empire. They got. I can't even imagine how much money they have and whatnot. And even look at the Death Star price; it's trillions upon trillions. And you'd think someone would put some money into actually making some good armor,
because obviously their eye holes must be messed up because they can't shoot for shit either. And
I've actually heard another. I've heard someone counted this, and it's ridiculous. But the Stormtroopers weren't trying to kill them; they were trying to guide them into Vader's path in Death Star. There's always some. I love Star Wars fans. Like, we're huge, but we come up with some bullshit sometimes, don't we? And then obviously there's the last one,
the escape pod. So in A New Hope, the droids escape in an escape pod, and the Empire are going to shoot it, and you can say, no, it's empty. Well, why not? Why not just shoot it?
Yeah, because they say there's no life forms, but still, like you said, what like if they shoot it, they blow up an escape pod. Okay, but they could it's their mistake that obviously it's got R2 and C-3PO.
If the plans are in there, then they destroy the plans. They save themselves the rest of the film.
If those plans didn't get out, Star Wars doesn't happen. So it's down to whoever that operator was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the gun.
It was.
So it's his fault.
Yeah. Just again, it doesn't really affect the story. No. It's just a bit odd that they would do something.
But yeah,
like
there's
that.
so many. There's like we said earlier. There's like Star Wars and plot holes are synonymous with each other. Obviously, it's a very convoluted. In the original trilogy, it was already convoluted as it was. But then, obviously, George Lucas with the prequels and whatnot. Another one off the top of my head is obviously Sebastian Shaw played Vader when he took his helmet off, and then apparently.
That's in Return of the Jedi.
The
original Return of the Jedi. At the end, he appeared as a Force ghost. It was Sebastian Shaw, and then obviously in the re-release, it was Hayden Christensen.
And George Lucas says that was he goes back to the last time being good, but I was like, surely, because Anakin has always been, even when he was younger, he's always been not fully good,
hasn't he?
Whereas surely killing the Emperor, sacrificing your life for your son,
that's the redemption of Darth Vader.
That's him at his best, isn't it? But
is.
But he's trying. George Lucas is. I don't think he's quite there the whole time. And another one, it's not necessarily a plot hole. I don't know. It's not a plot hole, but it's something to do with the plot that really irks me. And it's when he says that Star Wars is for kids, right? What? That's bullshit. Star Wars is for everyone. Are kids going to understand what the prequel is about? All about Senate, government, and whatnot. Are they going to understand about that? No. So yeah, George Lucas just chats shit sometimes, but yeah, they're just
allegedly.
Yeah, don't sue us, Disney. But yeah, they're just a couple of the many plots, unless you can think of any more to do with Star Wars.
No.
Like we said, there's
just so many. A lot of it's to do with timing, isn't it? And things like that.
And another quick famous one, not necessarily a plot hole, but it's more of one of those I don't know what those specific shots where say a character's doing something with an item, and the next scene the item's over there, and then the next scene they're doing, but
continuity.
Yeah, continuity. Yeah. Well, when Obi defends Luke from the guys at the bar, he chops off the arm. Yeah. But whose arm is it? Because it doesn't belong to any of those guys. Have you ever noticed that?
I think it does.
No, it's not. It doesn't. No. Okay. That guy. The arm is it's a fluffy blue arm, and it's got orange like puffer jacket on. Right. None of them do. So it's just like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And another one they had to bypass. Sorry, I know this is going. It was obviously in the original, in the 1977 release, Jabba the Hutt wasn't a slug.
No.
He was a human, and Han walks around Jabba, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And they had to battle it. They had to get over this by Han stepping on his tail.
Yeah, but that scene was cut for the original.
Yeah.
And it was only reintroduced in the re-release when they CGI'd.
But it's so weird though, because it doesn't make sense why he would just like hurt Jabba like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just so many different things the prequels brought up. You know. Don't even get me started on bad CGI, but we'll move on, because we're going to spend a whole podcast talking about it. So yeah.
Okay. So our next film is Signs, 2002, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. He's king of the plot twist. So Signs is Mel Gibson. Aliens land on Earth, and they're around his farm. And in the end, it's they determine that the aliens are either allergic to or are hurt by water. Great. So the first thing is, why would an alien come to a planet who hates water, comes to a planet that's 3/4 covered with water? But at the start of the film, like I say, Mel Gibson's character's got a farm, and they farm corn in Pennsylvania. And initially they think it's just people messing about, and he chases them through the corn. So they're running through a cornfield. It's late at night. The corn's covered in dew, which is water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just, that really, I've got to say as well, the ending to Signs is very it's almost like he ran out. He just couldn't be bothered.
I've never watched this film. Obviously, I know everything about it.
Yeah,
and apparently it's very underwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's a good film, but it's got you got all this build up to the reveal at the end, and the reveal is that aliens don't like water, and it's just like just an anticlimax.
Do they battle the aliens with water then? Is that what they do?
That's basically.
Maybe it's him trying to be like think outside the box, but it's convoluted because they have to kind of one of Mel Gibson's daughter, right? Because Mel Gibson's wife dies in a car accident, and his daughter's got this phobia about water being. She'll drink half a glass of water and say the rest of it's contaminated, and so she'll leave glasses of water, half-filled water, around the house. And Mel Gibson's brother, Joaquin Phoenix, he lives with them, and he's like a failed baseball. He could have had a baseball career, but anyway. So at the end of the film, this alien invades their house, and what they do is Joaquin Phoenix grabs his baseball bat and starts smashing these glasses of water against the alien, which starts to burn it. Is that how they realise?
Yeah, and it's this convoluted thing of, we've got to get the water in there, glasses of water in there somehow, and then it's just it's a very contrived storyline with a really anticlimactic ending. Oh, it's water. Okay. Yeah, so
I think, do you reckon maybe he tried to take a minimalistic approach where it's so obvious?
It's almost like he got fed up with the story and just thought, I want to end it as quickly as possible. What can we do? And there you go.
And that is something I would take away from the film for me personally. Like I said, I've never seen it.
Yeah,
but I've read some stuff about it, and that would literally take away from the plot of the film for me. But
okay, so moving on, it's The Matrix, 1999 film directed by the Wachowskis. So we all know the plot. Neo takes the red pill, wakes up, finds that the Matrix is actually this super intelligent computer and it's using humans, basically like batteries, to power it, and that so the humans don't freak out, they kind of implant these memories or this kind of world into their brain. But surely the Matrix could be powered by the energy from any mammal, so why choose humans? Why not choose cows or something? Much easier to control, probably produce more energy, and you just have to feed them grass and they won't have problems with a chosen cow stepping forward.
And me, I'm a huge Matrix fan. This is literally one of my favourite films of all time, and all I can say is you're completely right. I can't defend this, really. You know what I mean? The only I use that bullshit thing, but we wouldn't have got the film instead. I can't defend it because it is quite ridiculous, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I mean, there may be a completely rational reason why you got to use.
I would have loved to sing cows. Like, can you imagine that?
Right, that's my only.
Yeah, like I said, it's a short one. This one, because I love The Matrix. Like, it's one of my top movies, but I can't defend this really. So,
So moving on to Man of Steel, 2013, directed by Zack Snyder. Since Superman, in our sun, Superman's indestructible. How can he shave? Because throughout the film, he appears with a beard in some scenes and he's clean shaven in others. So no earthly razor could remove his beard. A problem which has been used as a driving plot of some of his more humorous comic book adventures. So it's actually been used as a plot in the comic books. Now some people have said, oh well, he has a razor made of kryptonite.
Yeah. Which would surely kill him, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, he burns it off with his laser vision. Yeah. So
I just think it's simply, as Zack Snyder was writing this, he either forgot or he was writing it from the point of this is a DCEU thing. You know what I mean? Is forget about the comic books and stuff. But I was like, if he was going from that approach, no, you should always respect your source material, shouldn't you? So he was in the wrong either way. But maybe, I just think he because he's a good writer, he's a really good director. So I just think he forgot maybe. and that's probably why. But yeah, it's quite stupid, isn't it? Really,
you've got to be true to your characters. That's the thing when you're writing stuff like that.
Yeah, like I said, you've got to respect the source material,
particularly in a film there where you've got lots of nerdy fans who will point it out all the time. And it's like Star Wars, you know. The fans will, if you don't produce something that is canon or follows certain rules, then people will just shit all over it.
And obviously with Superman, he's got 70 years of backstory. So, but I just think he either forgot or I don't think he would have forgot, because even though to a normal film fan it may seem not that important, but like you said, maybe to real Superman fans it can take away from the film, because if the film's not right in some ways and correct in the others, what am I watching? Is the whole film wrong? So it's a small one.
So moving on, another one of your favourites, Shawshank Redemption, 1994, directed by Frank Darabont. This is one that's all over the internet. Everyone asks this question. Just how did Andy Dufresne reattach the Raquel Welch poster in his cell so perfectly after escaping through the tunnel? I mean, it might seem inconsequential, but I think it does detract from the plausibility of the story.
While researching this,
and people say, well, he could attach maybe the top two corners, but not the bottom two as well.
I just don't get how you'd attach them, though.
When you're inside the tunnel, you could attach the two top corners, maybe, but then you wouldn't be able to attach the two bottom.
I find it really odd, I think.
Yeah, it would be. But it's possible, but not all four corners.
No.
So it does kind of...
Because the way it's on the wall is perfect, isn't it?
It's because obviously the one throws
rocks,
a chess piece, isn't it? Through the
chess piece,
through the thing, and it breaks, and it's perfectly, like I say, it's perfectly attached to the wall.
It's like someone attached it from the outside, inside the cell. But like you said, I agree that it does kind of take something away. It's not big in the big picture of things, but it's enough to be pointed out, isn't it? But
okay, moving on. Another one of your favourites, Dark Knight Rises, 2012, directed by Christopher Nolan.
Favourites? I like the trilogy, but this one,
So at one point in the film, Commander Gordon decides to send the entire Gotham police force underground at once, where they're trapped by Bane. The entire Gotham police force.
Yeah.
Now, when would that ever happen?
Yeah, that just wouldn't happen, would it?
But that's enough of a stretch in itself. But eventually the force is rescued, and they show up impeccably dressed, in fine health, and without so much as a hair out of place, after months of living in squalid conditions. Now, I've seen people say, well, they were sending supplies down to them and everything, but so what? They send them down washing machines so they could wash their uniforms and iron.
And did you see the size of the space as well? Once again, it's one where it's not like too ridiculous, but it's kind of like it makes you question yourself. Were they down there for that period of time? Because it obviously doesn't look like it, does it?
No, and again, it doesn't really affect the story. It's just when you look at it again, you kind of look at it and you think, that's right.
They all look like they're fresh from the station, don't they? But it's just a minute one, really. That one.
And then moving on to the ending itself. Now, some people have pointed out that it's unclear whether Alfred actually saw Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle in Florence Cafe or just dreamed it. However, the suggestion is that Wayne survived the bomb blast after flying the device away from Gotham in the Batplane, and Morgan Freeman's Fox discovered that the craft's autopilot system had been fixed by Wayne 6 months previously. So the viewers led to believe that the hero is alive and well, living life as an anonymous civilian. Now, this is kind of... because Wayne is an internationally recognised business magnate. He's featured on the front of Time magazine, so there's no way he would have been able to enjoy a quiet life anywhere without his survival getting out. I think.
Yeah.
He couldn't just disappear. He could if he hid himself away, but if he's actually going out in public, people are going to recognise him, surely.
Well, when I first watched this film, I thought, obviously, he sacrificed himself, and then you see that it's kind of like a shock ending. But I understand where people come from, maybe that Alfred dreamed it, because he did say before that he had because he'd been there before, and it shows you a flashback of that happening, and so he's been there, but obviously Bruce wasn't there, was he?
No.
And he's seen it, so maybe that's a figment of his imagination. But
possibly.
I think the thing where Fox discovers that it's been fixed, I think that is enough of an indication that
he's alive.
Yeah, I think so. Because the only thing I have a problem with that is I don't because obviously he's flying away, isn't he? He's flying into the sea with this huge bomb. I don't know what happens. Does he eject? Does he? You know what I mean? At what point you don't see him eject from the plane? And from any, because like as the bat planes going into the sea, you don't see any point from, because you actually see the blast happen as well, and in that whole time of the blast you don't see Batman eject, or you don't see, you know what I mean? So I don't know, and you don't see him obviously with the autopilot and whatnot. I don't know, it's very, very weird. But I'm a huge fan of this trilogy, so I kind of like blind myself, so I can kind of, because it's the ending I like, it's the ending best suited for me personally, so that's why I don't kind of look into it. But I can see why people have a problem with it, because it is questionable to say the least in it. But as a huge fan of this, I just kind of blind myself a bit, because I'm like, no, this is my ending,
So Armageddon, 1998, film directed by Michael Bay. So huge asteroid's going to hit Earth. There's only one plan that's going to work. We have to go up. We have to drill a hole. I think it's 800 feet. Put a nuclear device down it, blow it up, split the asteroid in two. Who do you pick to go up? You take a group of highly trained astronauts and train them to be drillers, or you take a bunch of hairy-assed redneck drillers and train them to be astronauts?
I think you'd pick the astronauts, because their bar's already set that high of their skill level, so it's not going to take much for them to go that bit higher, where, like you said with the oil drillers, like it's going to take more than 2 weeks. I believe it was 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Because in the film, they've actually been training a group of astronauts, haven't they?
Yeah.
And then Bruce Willis says, drilling's not a science, it's an art. And that's why he convinces them it'd be easier to send them up to go.
Yeah.
But again, even Ben Affleck, he's pointed this out, even revealing in the DVD commentary that he raised this issue with director Michael Bay while filming. And basically Bay just told him to shut the fuck up. So they obviously knew it was a plot hole.
But like I said, it is 2 weeks, doesn't it, that the film says. And it's very, but once again, I suppose Armageddon, it's a huge blockbuster. Not people, the average film fan's going to go, they're not going to look too much into it, are they?
They're not.
And it doesn't, to me personally, it doesn't take anything away.
No, it doesn't. It
just adds to the charm of the film, doesn't it? And it's a favourite of ours, isn't it? But it is a quite an important point, isn't it? But
okay, next one is Lord of the Rings 2001, directed by Peter Jackson.
Right, before we say this, right, we can understand where some fans will come, because obviously we're huge Star Wars fans. We're not, with Lord of the Rings, we respect the films. I never grew up watching them. I respect how good they are. I know they're really good films. But why didn't Frodo just ride the eagles to Mordor? That's, and I know people say, oh, but you wouldn't get the films. But we can understand where you're coming from, because so many people can be like, oh, this thing, why didn't they do this in Star Wars? And be like, oh, but we wouldn't have the Star Wars film. So we can understand where people come from, but it still is a plot hole, isn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously the common answer is it's not about how they get there, it's
the journey.
It's the journey. But other people have pointed out that for them to get to Mordor, it required a distraction to distract Saruman. Which was what they did. They had the Aragorn. They approached the gates of Mordor, and they drew the army of Mordor out.
I kind of feel that maybe that someone come up with that after the film came out and they heard it.
But also, people said that the eagles were just helping like their mate Gandalf out for that bit, and it's the difference between saying to somebody, "Oh, can you give me a lift home?" to saying, "Oh, can you give me a lift to Spain?"
I suppose that's good enough. But it is huge plot hole in my opinion. But like I said, where for me personally, I didn't grow up watching these movies.
But that just makes sense. The fact they could have ridden the eagles to Mordor, but they would have been seen by Saruman, and he would have sent probably, you know,
or the very least they could have ridden them the most of the way, couldn't they? You know what I mean? But with stuff like that, it means that we wouldn't have got the film. So I don't really take those into account. You know what I mean? So. But I can understand where people would be really annoyed at because they hear it all the time when they just ride the eagles. But it is still a plot hole, isn't it, at the end of the day? But one that you can, with your explanation about Saruman, it does make sense, doesn't it?
Obviously, this goes to show we're not big like the fans of Lord of the Rings because I got his name wrong. It's Sauron, not Saruman, so I apologise. Saruman is Christopher Lee's character.
So Lord of the Rings fans, please, we're sorry.
Just completely brain fart.
Like I said, I've seen like 40 minutes of the first one, but I do respect them films. Okay.
Right, moving on. Back to the Future Part 3, 1990, directed by Robert Zemeckis. This is where Marty travels back in time to 1885 in a DeLorean, because the end of Back to the Future 2, we see the DeLorean get hit by lightning and we think it's been destroyed. And then this guy from Western Union turns up with this letter for Marty, and he goes, "Doc, he's still alive. He's in 1885, but he's still alive."
So the DeLorean wasn't destroyed; it was
sent back in time to the Old West. Now, when he travels back, unfortunately, the time machine springs a leak and loses all its fuel. Because what happens is the Doc hides the DeLorean in an old mine shaft, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that's where Marty finds it. Travels back in time. He's being chased by Native Americans. I think he runs over a cactus, cuts the gas line, and it's out of fuel. And obviously, being in the 19th century, gasoline's pretty hard to get. So the Doc creates this ingenious plan to power the DeLorean via a steam train, and various rail hijinks ensue. But why didn't they just dig up the fully fueled DeLorean the Doc had buried in the mine shaft, awaiting his 1955 counterpart? Because when Marty travelled back in time, that would have meant there'd be two DeLoreans.
Yeah.
The one that Marty found in 1985, and the one that Doc had buried.
Once again, this is one of those ones where you really can't argue against it, can you?
No.
It is a huge plot hole in it.
It's just it can't really I don't know, unless it's some kind of different timeline or some kind of paradox. I don't know.
Obviously, it's not one of the ones where it's necessarily wrong, is it?
No,
because they must have forgot about the other DeLorean. They just used that one, so it's not a bad plot hole in that term. But it is like if you were to just use your head, or I don't know, if maybe Doc forgot that he had it or whatnot. But it is still a huge plot hole, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And to be fair, that's actually the first time I've ever heard of it. Yeah. So
that's ruined that for you as well.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
Okay, moving on to another one of our favourite films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981, directed by Steven Spielberg. This is one that's been pointed out many times by lots of different people. They say that Indy had no effect on the outcome of the film. The Nazis would have found the Ark eventually and taken it to the island, which is you can say it's true.
No, this one gets put up all the time, doesn't it?
So Indy's tasked with retrieving the Ark, so he travels to Nepal to get the headpiece, the staff of the Ra from Abner Ravenwood. So while he's there, the Nazis turn up, and so they would have still got. So had he not been in the film, then the Nazis would have got the headpiece of the staff.
They literally show up like minutes after Indy does, don't they?
Now, so because he's got it, they're digging in at Tanis. They're digging in the wrong place, but the Germans would have just carried on digging the whole site, excavating the whole site till they found it. So, and then Indy actually expedites that by showing them where the right place is.
Yeah.
And so they get the Ark. He steals it, takes it onto the boat. They steal it back, take it to the island. So
even though this is a film we both love, I can, it is.
Well, then what happens after that is always a mystery, because obviously they open the Ark, all the Germans are killed, but surely not every German on the island would have been at that ceremony.
No.
So
they wouldn't have been looking at the Ark.
No,
would
they would have found the Ark and probably taken it back to Germany.
Yeah.
So at that point, well, maybe Indy made sure that the Ark didn't fall into the hands of the Germans, but how did he get it off the island?
Yeah. Because surely they were all like German radios or whatnot. There was none to the US, was there? But it is quite a.
And then he kind of failed anyway, because he thought the Ark would be given over to the museum, and it's not. It's taken away to be researched by top men.
Area 51, I believe, isn't it, or something?
And boxed up and put in a warehouse somewhere. So. Yeah, but again, it's not about how you get there. It's the journey, isn't it?
I think it's actually really good, like character development for Indy, because he's gone this whole, this whole ordeal and whatnot. And like you said, it's the journey, isn't it? Yeah. So, and that's why I was trying to, with the Lord of the Rings one, come from a different perspective. Like there'd be non-Indiana Jones fans being like in the same position as we were with the Lord of the Rings one. You know what I mean? Yeah. But to be fair, I can see this one. But like I said, the film.
One worse plot hole I find is when because Indy's packed the Ark onto this ship, and it gets stopped by a German U-boat, and Indy somehow he swims over to the U-boat, and he's hanging on the outside of it, and he makes it to the island. It's like, how? Surely they would have submerged on the way to the island. Some people say, well, he managed to sneak on board. Well, would he not be spotted?
Yeah, how do you get on a German submarine without being spotted?
Well, surely it's a small crew. Everyone knows each other, so a different and there's not that many places to hide.
And I agree, that's actually probably a bigger plot hole than the old. Yeah,
and he had chance to have the Ark destroyed as well, didn't he? On the island. Yeah,
he could have done a million things.
He was convinced by Belloc, it's a transmitter, a radio to speak to God. I did promise last week I wouldn't do any more, but I couldn't resist it. So it's a tough one, that.
But like I said, it's what number one is. If all the events didn't happen, then we wouldn't have had the film. So
no, exactly. Right, so moving on to another Steven Spielberg film, Jurassic Park, 1993. Well, this has always kind of bothered me, this one, is the geography of Jurassic Park makes absolutely no sense. Ravines appear from nowhere during the T-Rex attack, and the fact that the T-Rex can somehow get inside the visitor centre are questions with no logical answer. So during, obviously, the T-Rex attack, the power's been shut off, she's looking over the electric fence, and then the next scene, she's kicking the car off the side of this, and there's this massive drop. That's taller than the T-Rex.
And I've heard some people say that it's further along, but no. They're literally where the gate's been torn down. They're at that part, aren't they? Yeah. And it's a huge drop off. And
so the T-Rex wouldn't have been able to climb up there, And it's like,
for me personally, that is a huge.
And I've always had an issue.
with that. I have as well. It does not make sense.
Getting into the visitor centre, it was under construction, wasn't it? So there may have been,
because you do see a huge chunk of light coming in. So maybe
maybe a hole big enough for the T-Rex.
But no, that previous one really does have a problem. And there's another one as well where, actually, I learnt this from a Costa Rican. In the scenes where we first meet with Dennis Nedry, when he's obviously getting passed over the embryo. In the backdrop, you can see a sea. But the town where Nedry is, it's in San Jose. And if you look on a map, San Jose is in the centre of Costa Rica, so it's not on the seafront or whatever. Like I said, it's minute details, just something I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, if you are from Costa Rica, then it is a big deal, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If you
Costa Rica,
like I said, I was literally looking in YouTube comments actually, and at this particular scene, I saw Costa Rica just put up. It was just one of those things. Okay.
Right, moving on. Karate Kid, 1984 film directed by John G. Avildsen. So, this is the big thing. Time and time again, throughout the whole film, the film's karate tournament, we're told that kicks to the face are illegal, will not be tolerated. So how does Daniel San defeat his nemesis Johnny in the final? By a crane kick to the face. So he should have been disqualified, and Johnny should have won. So it's that's one of those things. It's like it's mentioned throughout the whole film. It's like no kicks to the face, no kicks to the face, and he wins by a kick to the face.
This is the thing. Obviously, earlier with the Man of Steel, we were saying if follow, law and whatnot from your source material. But if you can't even follow the same rules in your own movie, then it's done, isn't it?
Yeah,
I just think they would whoever wrote it just maybe forgot or something.
I just didn't care.
Yeah, just didn't care.
Maybe a crane kick looks quite spectacular, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
maybe he was just writing it, and then he was like, actually, like you said, the crane kick looks cool, so I'm gonna forget everything about the film or the law about the film and just put that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
it is. So, moving on to Gremlins, 1984, directed by Joe Dante. Right, throughout the film you're told not to feed the Mogwai after midnight. Now, if you take into account the international time zone, it's always after midnight somewhere in the world. But it's not specific. It says it's always after midnight.
Yeah.
What is it between midnight and 3, or no, there's no real specific detail on that. And that's always been an issue of mine with Gremlins as well.
Because if say Gizmo, he took a trip across the Atlantic to here at midnight.
Yeah, is it midnight, Eastern time, or is it midnight GMT or whatever?
Just does not make sense, does it? But once again, whoever wrote this film was probably not even thinking that hard, were they? Or maybe the actual Gremlins were their time. Their internal clock is that time, but I'm just trying to.
Yeah, but again, just after midnight is it's an ambiguous term because it's always going to be after midnight. The only time it's not is at the stroke of midnight, and then 1 second past it's after midnight.
The next midnight defeats the other midnight. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, it's like if you don't feel between midnight and 1, okay, the witching hour, which is all right, but no, it's just very ambiguous. And
because you say that, say if you were to feed your Mogwai at 12 p.m, that would still be past 12 a.m, wouldn't it? Still be past midnight, wouldn't it? So it doesn't make sense, does it? But I don't think they were looking that into it when they were writing it.
But it's just
it still is quite a big plot hole, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
so moving on, I ruined this for you, didn't I? The other day, The Rock.
No, you didn't ruin it, but it was
Michael Bay. So biggest bullshit story going. You've got Sean Connery, who's playing John Mason. He's an ex-CIA operative. He's been imprisoned without trial for stealing national secrets from the US government, and he's been held. Basically, he doesn't exist, and he's the only person to ever successfully have broken out of Alcatraz. So when a group of Marines take Alcatraz and hold the visitors hostage, they have this VX gas. So it's up to Sean Connery and Nick Cage as an FBI chemical weapons specialist to rescue, along with a Navy SEAL team, to rescue the hostages. So they release John Mason, and he says, well, I can't really tell you how I escaped. I've got to show you what way, because I can't remember. So I'll know when I get there. So they take him along, and one of the things that he had to escape through was this furnace, and there were like timed flames underneath this furnace, and he had to roll under it. So what he does is he rolls under this furnace, timing it so he misses the flames, and then he gets through to the other side, and then there's a door in the wall, but it only opens from the other side. So then he opens the door, lets the SEALs through. The plot hole is, when he originally escaped, why didn't he just use the door?
Yeah. The
door's right there. It opens from the side that he would have been on. He would have saved himself a lot of hassle by having to roll underneath the furnace.
How I look at this now is, because we're both huge fans of this film, what I've come up in my head is that the door was locked for some reason, and he had to obviously go underneath, because why would he put his body at those? Why would he go to those extreme lengths if the door was open? So that's all I'm saying. But no, it is a painful plot hole, I must admit.
Yeah, it's only when I was compiling this that I realised that all the time I've been watching The Rock, he's under the furnace, comes out the other side, opens the door. I'm thinking, why couldn't he just open the door when he escaped?
Yeah, I just like to think that the door was shut but closed.
Right, so moving on to one of our childhood favourites. Well, childhood favourites, Toy Story, 1995, directed by John Lasseter.
Once again, you ruined that for me as well. And you got to ruin it for the whole generation of kids.
So Buzz Lightyear initially thinks that he's a real space ranger and not a toy. Yet, like all toys, he freezes around humans. Does that make sense?
Oh, what, the plot hole makes sense? Yeah, the plot hole makes sense, yeah.
How?
No, I thought you were asking if the plot hole, if you made sure that I understood.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, yeah. But no, the actual plot hole does not make sense at all.
I mean, the only thing is that maybe the toys have an inbuilt thing where they freeze automatically around humans.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's the only explanation I can maybe come up with.
No, there's no other explanation. It is a plot hole. And, just... When I first read that, I was like, oh, no, because I hate to... When I see plot holes, I hate to admit they're true, and it just is.
Yeah.
But hopefully, in the new Lightyear movie, something gets explained, but...
Maybe, yeah. So, moving on to one of my favourites, Planet of the Apes, 1969, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner. So, the plot hole here is quite simple, which I've never even thought about. All the apes speak English, yet Taylor doesn't realise he's still on Earth.
Yeah.
He's supposed to have travelled, thousands of years away from Earth, landed on this planet, a supposedly alien planet. Not alien, but, alien to him. He gets captured by these intelligent apes who all speak English. So is it possible that they've adapted this way of speaking, organically? Would he not question it?
Maybe you're just so fucking freaked out that those talking apes.
I know I would be, but even so.
No, it is a very burning plot hole again.
And that's the thing. It's like in all these science fiction films and things.
Yeah.
A lot of these alien species speak English.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, and they go, yeah, but they had an inbuilt translator on board. Or
it just means they've been colonised by the British Empire, mate.
Yeah.
Once again, it is a very burning plot hole. But
okay, and now the Terminator 2.
Don't you go treading on my Terminator 2, mate.
It stated in the original Terminator film that metal objects cannot be sent through the time machine, something to do with the field generated by them, because when Reese is being questioned in Terminator, the psychiatrist sarcastically asks him, why didn't you bring a laser gun with you? And he says, no weapons, because no metal can come through, because it's a field, generated by metal objects. So that's why you have to go through butt naked. Oh, that's what John Connor told him anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's a bit pervy or something, I don't know. The T-800 is a metal skeleton surrounded by living tissue. The T-1000 is fully liquid metal.
Yeah.
Yet he comes through. And weirdly, the T-1000 comes through butt naked as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah, it could have assumed any clothing, it could.
Just some things, is anyone... Yeah, because it's not like anyone touches the T-1000 where you can see that is... Because when people touch the T-800, you can see there's flesh there, can't you? But no, it'd just be all fully liquid metal, wouldn't it, for the T-1000? It does not make sense at all.
I just thought about, why did the T-1000 come through butt naked when it could have... Because it generates the clothing as part of the whole...
It could have had flesh or whatever. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, because it could have had flesh, it could rid itself of that flesh once it's through, couldn't it, or something? But it just doesn't make sense at all. And to be fair, I've actually heard this one before, and I've heard people say, but it's like a different property. But you hear throughout the whole movie that it is liquid metal, don't you? It's metal, so Yeah.
Other people say, "Oh yeah, well Skynet's moved on, become more technologically advanced," but it was on the point of being destroyed.
Yeah, it was on its last knees, wasn't it? It's not going to have the technology at that point.
Yeah.
But that's another once again, but burning plot hole. One of my favourite movies. So, yeah.
And just another quick one is Skynet in the original Terminator sends one Terminator through. Why didn't it just send an army through, an army of Terminators, to do the job?
Yeah.
Instead of just sending one through.
Do you reckon maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Do you reckon maybe they just maybe had the technology for one, or do you reckon?
Well,
do you reckon it was
like you say, Skynet was on its last legs, basically, and
because it was being defeated by the humans at that point, wasn't it?
And people said, "Oh, they only had enough power to send, one Terminator through," and then Reese went through.
To be fair, though, we never actually we don't see the damage sending someone or a Terminator back through time to the machine. It could damage the machine. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with any random bullshit, but it's once again another burning plot hole in another film I love. So,
so the final one, I'll probably ruin it for everybody, but every Christmas film ever. So
that's a massive statement.
Every Christmas movie that centres on Santa being real, but the adults still don't believe in him. Why do they think? Who do you think is leaving the presents? Because if it's the parents leaving the presents, then Santa's not doing his job. And if it is Santa, then where on earth do the parents think these presents are coming from?
Once again, and you have just done that every Christmas film ever. Destroyed now.
It's true. It's
it's very true.
It's usually parents don't believe in Santa, so where do the presents come from? If they're buying it and Santa's real, then Santa's a lazy fat twat and not doing his job. Whereas, if Santa isn't real, and if Santa isn't real, then where are the presents coming from? When they wake up on the morning, the presents are underneath the tree.
Because the parents act like, obviously they act like they've not bought them. They don't know where they come from. So it doesn't make sense at all, does it? Really? And like I said, you have ruined every Christmas movie ever. So.
So, I enjoyed that actually.
Yeah, it's good.
Quite good. I enjoyed being a Grinch at Christmas. So,
do you like humbugs? Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, bar.
I would not. If you want to unsubscribe from this, I would not blame you.
So, it was great. I enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Countdown to our Christmas special now, isn't it?
Yeah, next week is going to be it's going to be slightly earlier. We're going to release it on Christmas Eve, and that's going to be our top Christmas films.
Yeah.
So I hope you can join us for that. All that's left for me to say is thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.